MODEC Ghana, the operators of the FPSO Kwame Nkrumah on the Jubilee oil field have issued letters to send home 19 local workers who are being compelled to voluntarily exit the company. But this has been met with fierce resistance from the workers who are describing it as unfair. They also accuse the company of breaching an MOU signed between the General Transport, Petroleum and Chemical Workers Union, GTPCWU, on behalf of the workers, the company and the Labour Minister in November. So what exactly is the extent of breach? And what does the labour law say about these kinds of exits at the workplace? Can this be tracked to an agitation a few months back when these workers demanded better conditions? We'll find out shortly on today's big story with me, Aishi Bryan. 28 workers belonging to the General Transport, Petroleum and Chemical Workers Union, GTPCWU, were sacked last year by MODEC over an industrial action to demand better conditions of service. However, the Labour Commission asked that they are reinstated according to an order by the Labour Minister through a memorandum of understanding. Now, the GTPCWU union says that has not happened, but rather the company is going ahead to forcefully exit 19 workers. Now, we'll be joining on the line very shortly by Francis Salah. He is the General Secretary of the union. If you're on the line, good evening, sir. Many thanks for your time. I'm afraid Francis is not on the line yet, but in the studio with me is Mr. Ben Arthur. He is a labor consultant. Hi, Ben. Long time no see.
Yes, I'm available.
Good to see you again.
That's right.
Okay, we're talking about MODEC. They've issued a letter to the workers that 19 of them should voluntarily exit the company, and also they're promising packages and all of that, but the workers union has resisted. I think Francis is back on the line. Let's hear from him first, and then we can continue with the discussion. Hello, Francis. We appreciate your time on today's big story. You are resisting the letter sent to you on June 17 for your workers to voluntarily exit the company. Briefly run us through the MOU that you are accusing MODEC of breaching.
Well, on the 16th of this month, the Minister of Petroleum called us upon a petition we wrote to the stakeholders. The direction is at the front desk of the minister, but indicating our displeasure. And we actually planning to take a different line. And we were called by the ministers, not only as we had the Petroleum Commission there, we had the MD of Salo there, we had the National Security there, we had almost all the stakeholders, including MODEC, who were all there. And we asked to restate our case. And we said, look, an MOU has been signed. And for all this while, the employer is not going by the MOU. You are claiming that you have reinstated this guy. And we are saying that, look, it's not just about reinstating. Give them their job back. It's even that the job is not there. But the job is there. And you will want to, you have brought in some experts who are doing their jobs for them. You are paying them much better. Perhaps even housing them. But these guys, what are they asking for? Pay us what we ought to be paid. We are professionals. You are not training us. We have our qualifications. Perhaps sometimes even better qualifications than these people you have brought down and training them. Sometimes even this Ghanaians training some of these guys on the ring. And this is a job they've been doing all along before okay. So get them them back to their job. Let them go back onto the factory.
So exactly which part of the memorandum of understanding have they breached?
Get the guys back to their factory. Give them the jobs back. That was the essence of the MOU. The MOU never said that they should be reinstated and then they should be left at home and management should keep paying them. No, that was not the content of the MOU that we signed. So you cannot say that these guys should come, stay at home for you to be paying them. No.
Has MODEC explained to you why they have had to take this decision?
They are saying they are restructuring. But how do you restructure and sort to lay people off when the very job that they were doing, the job is still there? And you have working others who are doing those jobs. You want to credit for under the guise of restructuring. Is that fair?
Okay, let me have you hold for a minute because I have Ben Arthur. He's a labor consultant in the studio. He's also joining in this discussion. Ben, earlier on you looked at the MOU.
Yes.
And at a portion, I think I saw that restructuring of the company still continues or something like that. Having read the MOU, would you still say that MODEC has breached the MOU signed in November?
Let me just correct my title. It's ADR Labor Management Practitioner.
Okay.
Having looked at the MOU, it's very difficult to, in a straitjacket manner, say that they have breached that agreement, in that we have certain basic rights of an employer, that is to provide employment and to be able to pay.
Right.
If you're looking at the ability to pay, which they have stated that they were going to undergo some restructuring,
right,
and they had mentioned the word redundancy. Where I have a problem is, why have the workers not been reinstated according to the agreement?
Yeah.
But barring that agreement, every employer in Ghana under the Labor Act 651 has a right to hire and to fire.
Okay.
Now, what I guess that the workers are saying that it constitutes unfair termination.
Okay.
But from the various letters that I had read, also confirms to me that it's a strategy by MODEC to probably make some workers redundant. And unfortunately, they have happened to be
part of
they have happened to be these categories of people. But the basic right to hire and fire and to declare redundancy by an employer, it's with MODEC.
Okay.
And
so
that is
where does the right of the worker also come in?
The right of the worker comes in here under 64, section 64 and 65 of the Labor Act.
Right.
Once there is a redundancy, you are entitled to your redundancy pay.
Okay.
The notice for your redundancy ought to have been given in good time, 3 months, and specifically addressed to the chief labor officer.
Right.
And not just address, you must give reasons why you are declaring these workers redundant.
Okay.
And possibly you must try to find them alternative jobs. So if you are unable to do so, you need to justify why you are laying them off. And you must notify the chief labor officer. So far, the letters that I have read have only been copied to the chief labor officer. I'm yet to cite a letter that has specifically been addressed to the chief labor officer. If that has not been done, that is a mistake. It has to be done. The chief labor officer must also satisfy himself or herself of the need for redundancy.
Okay.
So these are some of the provisions in the
labor. Okay, I have a copy of the June 17 letter here. It says, I refer to the meeting held in your office on Monday, 15 June 2015, where it was agreed that MODEC Ghana may proceed to initiate a voluntary exit plan for employees in the company. Management has today, Wednesday, issued out a voluntary exit proposal letters to 19 employees with the attached package for their acceptance or otherwise. Employees have also been notified the company's medical insurance policy covering them and their registered dependents will also remain until it expires August 2015. A repatriation fee will also be paid to enable employees convey their personal effects from place of work to their respective hometowns. And then it has been copied to CEO of Petroleum Commission, CEO Talo Oil Ghana, Chief Labor Officer MODEC HR, and then the General Secretary. Mr. Francis Salah, the letter shows that they are categorically stating that the workers are going to be compensated and will benefit from their health package till August 2015 when it expires. Are the workers not willing to accept these packages?
One fact that we need to look at is that what are the factors that triggers redundancy?
Okay.
Yes. Are the jobs that the guys are doing, are those jobs still available? In this case, yes. And you have brought in some others to come and take these jobs away from these guys because of the fact that they were requested and in fact negotiating for a fair deal when it comes to remuneration.
Okay.
People are performing their jobs as equal as those you have brought in now. Some are expatriates and you are paying them far better, sometimes 4 or 5 times better than this guy.
Okay.
And we are saying that pay us well. Pay us as you are paying this guy.
Right.
And is this the cost for which you would embark on a restructuring? And in one of our meetings, the employment minister, Honorable Haruna Ibisu, stated clear that it is not only intriguing but surprising that in your attempt to restructure, these guys who were asking for a fair play in the field are those that you have targeted.
Okay.
So what are they talking about?
So do you suspect foul play?
It's not only about suspicion. This is a real foul play and unfair to labor and unfair to Ghanaians. Look, these are Ghanaians when they are well paid. They will pay good taxes for this nation. You are bringing in expatriates who you are paying them well. Where do they pay their taxes to? Why should we sit down as a country and we allow
but have you wondered why they will target these workers? Because I'm sure there are a number of workers around. Why would they target only these 17 or 19 workers?
You say this same question should go to my management. Why at the meeting with the Minister of Petroleum on the 15th, there was no discussion as to even going into a compulsory. I look at the letter they wrote on the that they have made available to you.
Are you saying that in all of these there has not been any negotiations with you, with the staff?
We have not started to negotiate on any way. The Minister of Petroleum said it clear there that they shouldn't force anybody to go for a package. That the law allows anybody at all to say if there is a package of that we call voluntary.
Right.
Whoever will want to accept it, you can go. But they should not force anybody to go into that thing. And that it should be open to all, not only the 19 employees. But you go, they wrote and attach the name of these 19 employees as if it was agreed between us and the minister. In this case, they are being even unfair to the minister who sits in there on behalf of the president of this country.
From Francis, let me hold you on and speak with Ben Arthur in the studio. From what Francis is saying, I know there are procedures. Even though you have the right to retrench, you also have to respect the rights of the worker, and so there are processes to follow. In this instance, where workers are saying that we've not been called in any meeting to negotiate this particular voluntary exit, you feel that the company is wrong on, I mean, to an extent, is wrong in doing so?
To a great extent, yes. It has to consult the workers and probably negotiate such terms. Not only that, I've already stated as one of the conditions to consult and to write to the Chief Labour Officer and prove that there's a genuine case for redundancy. Not only that, under Section 65B also says that you should consult the trade union concerned on measures to be taken to avert or minimize the termination, as well as measures to mitigate the adverse effect of any termination on the workers concerned, such as finding alternative employment. And in my opinion, I have not heard of these two issues being well addressed. Then it makes this case per the view of the workers as constituting unfair termination. And to us, if we should just bring ourselves to what must constitute a fair termination, then quickly let's look at them. A termination of a worker's employment is fair if the contract of employment is terminated by the employer on any of the following grounds: that the worker is incompetent or lacks the qualification in relation to the work for which the worker is employed.
Right.
We haven't heard that yet. The next one is proving misconduct of the worker. It's not been stated in any of the letters. Redundancy, they have stated it.
Okay.
Or due to legal restriction imposed on the worker, prohibiting the worker from performing the work for which he or she is employed. We have not heard of any of these reasons. So the workers, from their point of view, are citing unfair termination. The appropriate place to get these things addressed is to quickly go to National Labour Commission.
But the major concern also has been the fact that this layoffs or the prior sacking came in immediately. Workers protested and demanded for better conditions of service. Is that to say that the company does not make room for workers to have their say?
I will not be able to say this precisely, but it could have been a trigger event that probably they were looking for an opportunity to lay off some workers.
Right. And
in some of their letters, to be fair to them, they have cited the energy crisis and the change order from PFSO, Kwame Nkrumah.
Yes.
You know, once they have had a change order, they are also restructuring. So to be fair to them, probably they have been looking for an opportunity to lay people off.
But what does the labor law say about these? Doesn't the worker, because you employed the worker doesn't have a right to speak on issues affecting him or her?
Under the rights of a worker and that of an employee, the duties, responsibilities, it is especially the duty of the employer to open channels of communication. Okay. So a worker has the right to speak and to speak his or her mind, especially relating to the employment relations. So it's there. Freedom of speech under our constitution and the rest is also there. Okay. But in this instance, we are looking at the overbearing power of an employer. Okay. It says that, look, I'm restructuring. The point is, have the people lost their technical skills in doing the work? We have not been told. And even if they have lost their skills, it is mandatory for the employer, MODEC, in this instance, to retrain the workers to fit into the workplace.
That has
not been done. So I can, from my personal opinion, I can say that it is probably an issue of termination under the guise of redundancy. Okay. And the good place to go in this instance is to report the issue to National Labour Commission.
I think that in even the MOU,
in spite of the presence and the participation of the sector minister in the MOU. Right. In spite of his presence, they can still go back. They have to go back to National Labour Commission.
Let's get back onto the lines. Mr. Francis Salah, so what will be your next line in action? Because it looks like the company has taken a decision and it could happen anytime soon.
Make this also clear. In one of our meetings with my management during this crisis, management informed that is my management of MODEC through their contact, Austin Government informed us that they are almost 90% through to get these guys onto the facility. They still have scope. That they're having the discussions with management of Talo, and some of them are being difficult, but they are almost through to get the guys on the facility. Only for us to be told in the next meeting that the door has been shut. And behind the scene, we hear that one expatriate who is an OIM on the facility swears by that it will be over his dead body to have these Ghanaians on that facility. But he's pleased to have these people who are his colleague experts back on the facility. And as a country, we sit down because we have sold our stake in this sector for people to come and make the thing and go away with it. And then MODEC will also hide behind this thing and say, look, let's take the opportunity, let us declare these people redundant, in spite of the fact that the job that they are doing are still there. These guys, when it comes to a matter of qualifications, These guys are highly trained. They have been working on this facility ever since, and for 4 to 5 years, they lost the opportunity of even negotiating with the employer.
So obviously you suspect foul play. Ben has just stated that you have the opportunity to go back to the Labour Commission. Have you considered that?
Well, our strikers tomorrow. We're meeting our strikers tomorrow, and we take the right line of action that we think will be best for this country. Because if we don't save this, if we don't save this, the tendency for this to be escalated and cascading to all the other oil and gas companies are very, very high. They will take us for granted after this. But meanwhile, in the countries that they are coming from, they wouldn't do these things that they are doing here. They wouldn't do it. So why should we allow them? And the Petroleum Commission, the institution that is supposed to regulate the industry, will give instructions, and this will take it.
Well, I think you've made your point. Many thanks to you, Francis. We'll be checking on you from your meeting tomorrow with your workers to find out the outcome of that meeting. Ben, back to you. He made a very valid point that he's laying off the local people so that he can bring on board his fellow expatriates. But what does the labor law say about companies that are foreign, and what percentage of local people should be involved in that company or should be hired in those companies?
Not to be able to give particular details at this moment, but at least we have the local content issue under the Petroleum Regulatory Management Act that we have in Ghana. We have the local content. But there's one thing that we are missing from our labor law, that the Employment Opportunities Act. When I say Opportunities Act, talking about discrimination and the rest, we ought to have them prove that the skill that they are importing is not available in Ghana.
In this country.
It has to be inked. That once you are bringing in somebody to come and do work in Ghana, in any sector at all, in any sector, probably this is a good case for us to begin to look at modification of our law to have some of these clauses that you need to prove beyond every doubt that we don't have such skills here. But look, what is happening here, I predicted it some months back when the people embarked on strike, that essential workers under which they fall don't have right in Ghana to embark on strikes. Because of that, employers have had the opportunity to frustrate essential workers, be medical officers, and there are sometimes the processes for getting dispute resolved.
So the time has come to amend that clause too?
Yes, we have to look at it, but essentially, this is the beginning of the troubles of these workers. Once they embarked on strike, I was calculating the possible losses. So these employers ought probably have looked at it. That's not what I'm saying, but they might have looked at that atmosphere that, look, if we are going to engage on workers who have the opportunity to strike at any moment in time, then we're going to have troubles with our customers, with our delivery and timeline. So probably let's lay them off and get other ones, even if they are less trained. Let's get them so that we wouldn't have any opportunity for people to strike and put us in the wrong place. So in Ghana, this is the time for us to look at some of the laws and see how best we can amend them
and modify them. Well, I must say that we've been trying to reach MODEC in this issue. I've been trying to speak with them, but they're not forthcoming. They are not willing to speak on the matter. But I think it would have been interesting if we had their side of the story. Interestingly, you mentioned that they must be able to prove beyond reasonable doubt.
Beyond doubt.
To ensure that they are bringing in this new people. It means that the local people cannot do the job. So they must be able to explain further to show that the local people cannot be able to do the job. That's why they're bringing in. Is it your opinion, or it is the law, or it's something that the Labour Commission can actually probe?
Oh yes, but more so, I have said that under Section 65 of Act 651, they must, if they are going to lay people off because of redundancy program, they have to provide in writing to the chief labor officer and the trade union concerned, and they must prove that in fact we have a sure case for redundancy. So that's where the responsibility lies, that we have to get the chief labor officer to probe this matter and to satisfy himself or herself that indeed we have a genuine case for redundancy. If after the investigation of the chief labor officer it is established that there's no case for redundancy, MODEC will not have a case for redundancy. They must also consult the trade unions concerned on the measures to be taken. It is obligatory to consult the sector trade union, which is a General Transport and Petroleum and Chemical Workers Union of Ghana. They have to consult them. So these two provisions must be met in order for us to say that there has even been a genuine case for redundancy.
Okay.
Any other thing short of this, we can only quote a word called redundancy, but we cannot establish its existence. But let me add that under our labor laws, an employer has an overbearing authority to do some of these things to workers.
But
that's the unfortunate.
Is it fair?
It might not be fair, but I have employed you, and I'm telling you that I can no longer work with you. And I could cite several instances. These are the unfortunate aspects of the practices in our country.
And
but
I think that the time has come for us to modify some of the laws, like you said, so that the employee could also have a say in some of these instances, especially when the company is a foreign company. I think the local people must have a big say in this matter. I would have to drop you here and quickly talk about police saying that Black Stars captain Asamoah Gyan could face up to 25 years in jail if found guilty in rape case brought against him by 22-year-old university student Dofsu. Is expected to begin investigations into the matter after the 22-year-old university student filed the case there. Now, this tale of twists and turns began with reports that the lady in question, Sarah Kwabla, had first reported the matter to the Odoko police. It then emerged that lawyers of Asamoah Gyan had rather filed a case of attempted blackmail there. Now, lawyer for the student, Maurice Ampao, tells Joy News she has filed a fresh case of rape at Dofsu. Let's listen to him.
We have received a report against the captain.
What sort of report is this?
Lady Sarah came to our station on Tuesday and reported that the captain had raped her.
So you're investigating rape?
At the moment, what we are doing is that she has reported rape, and we are investigating. And what I want to confirm is that there is a report about that, and we are investigating.
Is that a case of sodomy?
She reported a case of rape, and we are handling that.
Have you interrogated? Okay.
You said?
I'm asking if you've interrogated the captain, Asamoah Gyan.
We haven't, because the lady came, we gave a medical form, and we are going through that process of medical assistance, and we will invite when we get to that stage, we will do that. But at the moment, what I can confirm to you that we have received a report and we are investigating it.
Okay, what are the likely sanctions if it turns out to be true?
Rape cases, when it's true according to the code, it's a sentence between 5 to 25 years, and that's the prerogative of the judge. But for now, what I would say is that we haven't charged him, and we are investigating, because we have just received a case, and the case is under investigation. We have received
So that was a conversation between Dofsu and Evans of Joy News. That has been today's big story. We've been speaking about MODEC trying to lay off 19 workers, and we're talking about the latest twist to Asamoah Gyan and the 22-year university girl who's accusing him of rape. It used to be sodomy, now rape. So we'll bring you updates of that. My name is Aisha Barima. I must say thank you to Ben Arthur, the labor consultant, and then thank you to Francis Salah. We'll be back with Joy News Interactive.